Welcome to Porch Talks, and I'm Jedidiah. Standing in a sterile gray room with lights that were strangely bright and an overshadowing darkness, there lay a table in the shape of a cross with leather straps where the arms and legs should be. While taking in this scene, a somber scene, an older man who seemed oddly familiar was wheeled in and placed on a barely clad foam of the table before me. I watched as the leather straps were locked in place over the man's arms and legs, the nurse placing an IV in the elbow of his right arm. Wondering if this was a dream, I began to search my spirit. All I could sense was the supernatural peace of Father. The stark contrast between the sterile gray room and this overshadowing peace made this event even more surreal. With quiet introspection, I began to look at the gray wall opposite of where the man was lying. Who is this man? What has he done? Why does he look so oddly familiar? This and many other questions began to roll around in my head as the sound of the man becoming unconscious, although quiet, seemed to thunder in the room. Turning my head back around, my eyes focused on the older gentleman's face. I realized the only thing left was the lethal injection itself. It wasn't until I was handed the syringe full of the lethal injection that I suddenly recognized who this man was. It was my old man of unbelief. With a sudden, abrupt awakening, while still focusing my mind on the dream that I had just awakened from, I realized I had a choice. It was I who would let this old man of unbelief be executed by the water of the Word of God. And I pushed the plunger. I had this dream probably several weeks ago, and it really rattled me when I had this dream. I remember prior to this, there were some things that I was battling on the inside of me that were really bothering me. And in particular, they had to do with this place of some things that I had dealt with my entire life. And I knew that the Lord had promised me a truth. I know what the Lord had given me. I know the treasure of what's inside of me. And I'm beginning to know even more. You know, when I say I know what I know now. And what I know now is exceedingly abundantly above all that I could ask or think. And yet there's a part of me that knows there's still yet even more. So it's not like I've been fully revealed everything, but yet even what I can see right now is so massive. I'm like, how could I ever attain it in a lifetime? Father, I'm going to have to live forever in order to be able to use all this that you have given me. And during this time of prayer, during this time of introspection, I began to look at things from a different perspective. I began to see different ways of praying about the situation that I was in. And the Lord kept taking me through this place of standing in the place of knowing the Word of God. And that no matter what, now this is going to seem a little bit hard, but even if it didn't happen, that I could still hold on to believe that the Word of God was still true. You see, I'm thinking of two stories right here and right now that I hadn't really planned on talking about in today's Porch Talk that both come up in this place of exactly what I'm talking about. Let's go with Abraham and the sacrifice of Isaac. You know, the Torah portion this week is actually about the sacrifice of Isaac. The one that the Lord had promised Abraham, that through Isaac his seed should be. In other words, through his son Jacob, the seed would actually become a part, and then would become a nation. It would become a family, and through Isaac's son Jacob, that Abraham himself had to battle with this place of, is the Word of God really true? And if the Word of God is really true, and he believed it without a doubt. That's what I'm saying. He believed it without so much so that he took Isaac up to the top of the mountain and began to sacrifice him because the Lord had told him to do so. And we all know the story where he was stopped, and a ram was provided so that the sacrifice could be made, and Isaac was spared. But Father was able to see the heart of Abraham through that place. But then I'm also thinking about the three Hebrew boys, Hananiah, Azariah, and Mishael, or better known as Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. I prefer to go by their Hebrew names as opposed to their Babylonian names. And remember the story of what happened there, that they said, I'm not going to bow to your idol, Nebuchadnezzar. We're not going to do that. And we know that our God is more than able to be able to save us from this situation. And even if he doesn't, even if we perish in the fire, we still will not bow to your idol. They had made a choice. They had said, there's certain things that we know are true, and we're going to hold on to them no matter what. And you see, for me, this dream really hit home when it began to talk about this place of unbelief that I had that I'd been carrying for quite some time. I believed that it was true. I believed that the opposite was true. I believed what the Father had promised me was absolutely true. But it was one of these things that had been haunting my mind for quite some time. You see, I know that I'm not perfect. I know that there's a place where I love the Father more than anything else. My heart is to every morning to come out and spend time with it, all day long to spend time with him, to be in this place of this mindful place of being right next to the Father and hearing even his little tiny whisper. You know, it starts to make sense to me when we start talking about Paul, when he starts talking about praying without ceasing. Because in this place of this mindfulness in the Lord and intentionality of the Lord, then I'm in a place where even the still small whisper can be heard by Father and heard by us. And I can do what I hear the Father say. I can hear the Father's heart, even if he doesn't ask me to do something. You know, it's I've begun to sense this place. I've begun to see this place where, yes, that even if the Father doesn't say anything in particular, that I can hear his heart. It's only just begun just a little bit, but I've sensed it. I've felt it. I've known it, and I've begun to move. I've begun to say, Father, I hear your heart. And in that place, because I've begun to spend time with him, I've begun to know his heart and already know what he wants me to do. I want to go even deeper with that. I don't want to be at just a once in an every now and then kind of thing. I want to be every day being in a place where the very sound of his heartbeat will alert me and let me know what it is that he's thinking. Why? Because I've been with him so much that I know his heart and I know his mind. I know what he's thinking. I know the Spirit of God that's on the inside of me, and how the Spirit of God connects us in that place where our hearts are beating together. You see, for me, this death of the unbelief for me became imperative. It was something that I had to do. And I realized that between that sleep and waking state that I had come into right as I was waking up, right, that was the time when I pushed the plunger, was during that sleep and waking state. In other words, there was a place where the dream had ceased, and the Lord had given me an opportunity to be able to stay in that dream in my waking time, and then to make a choice as to what I should do with regards to that old man of unbelief. You see, there's three things that I know that the Father has spoken to me about. And these three I like to call the Trinity of faith. And they are faith, trust, and confidence. All three of these work together to be able to bring us to this place of knowing, not just thinking, not just being unsure, and not making those old statements that I used to make of, well, I just want to know the word of the Lord. I just want to know what it is that you want me to do. I want to know. But that I've come to this place of spending time with you so much that I do know. I know your heart. I know there'll be times when I'll have to go to you and ask you, Lord, to to help me in this. But Father, thank you that you are teaching me this place of knowing your heart. Blessings and shalom.